Welcome to the Old Boys Podcast. Got to change up that first word every once in a while. You can't just say the same exact thing every single week, guys.
Sure,
you just
you
can't
can.
do it. No, you can't.
It's called consistency.
It is called consistency, but who gives a fuck, really?
You're right. You're right.
So we are a show in which we entertain you by watching a film that, you know, ideally you've also watched, but you can still get through our show without watching it because we just sit there and we talk about it and how stupid these films are, or good, or stupid, or good. And I went to film school, so that's my draw, and then Jared's super fucking funny, so that's his draw. And then we are going to take you on a wild ride of our insane minds.
I like
and how
you
we
went
feel
through,
about
like,
these films.
You went through all of this, and like you haven't even said our names.
Oh, I'm Jared, and that's Dan.
What? Okay, I'll accept this for now. I'll play along.
Confuse everybody. I am Dan, that's Jared. Holy shit, can we get on with the fucking show?
Well, since you put it so nicely, and you were so succinct in your explanation.
Was I?
Maybe we
I
can.
feel like I was.
I'm from film school, and there's another guy. Here's our podcast.
It's basically all it is. Oh, and we make dick jokes. Yay.
Yeah.
We watch films about coming.
Ugh. I try not to. Dan makes me. And I try to look away.
There was an awful lot of allusions to come. Like, I was so afraid there was going to be sex scenes in this film because of how many times that we kind of cut to a place where sex will happen.
Yeah. So, in this show, we like to basically go through the whole film. It's kind of more than a review.
Yes.
I would think. And hopefully through us, you can understand and enjoy this movie in a perverse way and not actually have to watch it. Because just sitting down and watching it, first impressions for me. Oh, the movie is called Mute, by the way.
Mute!
What is it? This
Duncan
year
Jone.
it came out?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
2018, director Duncan Jone, starring
Yes.
Paul Rudd, Justin Theroux, and Alexander Skarsgård, I think.
And you
One
said
of the
David
Skarsgårds.
Bowie's son had something to do with this,
Duncan
right? Or
Jones.
somebody-
Yeah, he's the director.
Duncan Jones? Okay. And
And he pays tribute to David Jones, which is David Bowie, at the end of the film, and it was so cute.
well, that's kind of disrespectful. Now, watching the film, it was not a good idea.
Really?
Yeah, because it's something about like parents.
Okay,
Like
first
oh,
impressions,
thank you to
please.
parents.
I'm curious to get on this horse that you're riding about how
Okay.
you don't like this film, I guess.
I'm on the red hair, the Lubu horse.
Yes, the
And
Lubu
I'm
horse of not liking this
riding
film.
into battle, romancing all of the kingdoms with my charm and wit. So, I didn't like this movie.
Okay.
It's not good. It was directed good or well, however you would like to say it. I thought the acting was good. I thought a lot of the stuff in this film, the editing, everything else was good, except for what they tried to do with the plot and the pacing, I guess I could say. So, like,
I was going to say, like, okay, directing's good. Editing
yeah, I'm
is
saying
good.
everything is good.
Acting
yeah, I
is
know.
good. Why don't you like this film?
So
I
they
don't
set
get
up
it.
all of this great stuff. You got Paul Rudd. You got what's the guy's
Justin
name?
Theroux.
Skarsgård.
Oh, Alexander Skarsgård is the guy who's mute. The titular mute.
He's fucking killing it in this movie, Dan. He's
Yes.
doing great. Paul Rudd is almost stealing the show, and it's
Oh,
kind
he
of gets
totally
annoying.
is. I was
Yeah.
not expecting that.
And the
at
problem
all.
between these two characters is that there's almost like two different movies going on, and it gets very annoying jumping from the two. And I feel like they could have cut a lot of Paul Rudd's shit out of the film, but they're like, "Hey, we got Paul Rudd. Let's use him." I don't know, Paul Rudd. And the movie loses focus.
Here's
I would say.
a question. If this film was not called Mute and called something else, and we just had two intertwining characters, the mute guy and Paul Rudd, would it be better because it's not called Mute and we are not just focusing on the mute guy?
It is kind of hard to convey the story through a guy who cannot speak. That makes the movie a little harder to watch because a lot of times he was going through his like investigation. So, Why don't you give your first impressions, Dan, and you can give a short rundown of what the film really is.
Maybe my attitude has some bias in it because I just wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't think this film was that bad. I mean, I can see your drawbacks. I can see your critique where it's like the narrative is kind of strangely paced, and but I didn't have an issue following it. You know what I mean? But the reason I'm saying maybe I'm biased is because I went in knowing that you said last week that, have you read the reviews for this film yet? Like, there's a lot of bad ones, but I don't understand the bad reviews because I went back and I read them. I'm like, this is a lot better of a film than people are letting it on to be, I think.
It could have been a masterpiece. This movie could have been amazing. It has so much.
It has the okay, I love cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is one of my favorite things in the world. I don't like Blade Runner, but I like everything else. Like just like the neon and then the grungy lowlifes that go along with it. You know, like I love all that shit. And this was a huge step in terms of making that genre unique again. Because once you plateau on cyberpunk, but this was cyberpunk, but I've never seen anything like this before.
So, Dan, I'll say I did like the setting, but here's a question. Do you think the sci-fi setting needed to be there for this story? Like, do you think it serviced the story? Or
no.
Could this story take place at any time, anywhere, and it doesn't matter?
It could have taken place anytime, anywhere. The one thing that screwed me up about this film was not the narrative, but the jarring leap, almost, between future world and non-future world. Because you go, like, you start in, like, a fucking tropical island or something, and then, like, 20 years later, it's now 5 million years in the future.
Oh, yeah. That was out of control.
What the fuck is this shit? And you know it's the fucking future because I'm not making this up.
Flying cars and, like, Fifth Element shit.
You go from boats and Amish people to a flying fucking car. Yeah. And it's supposed to be the transition of like 25 years. I'm like, no, this is weird. I don't think it works. And then Paul Rudd's house is is just somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere near the city, which is also very strange. So that was my biggest about it, but that was really easy to overlook because it is so jarring. It's like, all right, if that's going to fucking happen, I'm going to just ignore that because I didn't like it at all.
Yes, and like I said, there's a lot of good elements of this movie. It's just so unfocused on what they're doing with all of these interesting ideas. And then when they try to execute on them, it's the slowest, like most boring, uninteresting way that they could do it. And I'm talking a lot about the end. And as we all know, we do not like endings.
Are you talking about the plot with Nada?
And the pedo guy is one of the main things that really made me not like this movie.
Justin Theroux, I haven't seen him forever, and I really wanted to like him.
His character was fucking pointless. It was pointless. If you cut him out of the film, would the movie change at all?
No.
Exactly. There's no reason to even have him in the movie. And then we're forced, because like this guy's a pedo, and that's his whole deal, right?
Okay, hold on.
The movie makes you watch his pedo shit.
And
it's awful.
Let me do this.
Okay, please break down the movie.
Leo.
Just quick
Leo.
rundown. Okay.
Leo is a boy at one point. He's run over by a boat. His mom is Amish, so she's too...
Leo is a boy at one point.
At the beginning of the film, Leo's a boy, and he is run over by a boat, and then you can see like all these fucking scars. Like he's gonna be scarred up really bad. You think he's dead. He's scars guarded. Yeah, get it? Because that's his name. Anyway, mom is Amish. She will say, no, you cannot have surgery to fix his vocal cords, so you're gonna be mute for the rest of your life, kid. Sorry. Flash forward 25, 30 years later, he's in the middle of Hyper Berlin, and he has a alt-girl girlfriend because she has like a lot of blue hair. She's British, I guess. Like there's a lot of different dialects of Britain and Germany for some reason. And he can't talk, but he's super attractive. And they are working at this nightclub called like Double Dreams or something. I don't fucking something.
It
Dreams.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And he's super protective of her because she gets hit on a lot. And there's this one amazing scene where he's just like he's huge. He has to be at least 6'8", and he is a presence on screen. And whenever he's not talking but just being in somebody's face, it's horrifying. Anyway, he is that kind of dude, and she ends up going missing, and then he has to go through the underbelly of Berlin Hyper 2055 that in order to find her, and it turns out that she's dead. But you don't know why she's dead. That's what you're trying to figure out. And it turns out that there's these two other guys, Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux. I believe it was Cactus Bill is Paul Rudd, and
Duck.
Duck
Cactus
is Justin
and Duck.
Cactus and Duck. Anyway,
Literally
Cactus is a fucking
film.
loose cannon, and he, once more, just to reiterate, Paul Rudd steals the fucking show. I completely agree.
Oh, yeah.
So he is trying to get out of the country. He's doing all these underhanded shit so he can get fake IDs that can pass as real IDs, and he's going to take his daughter and leave.
Yeah, you could have had two different movies with these characters.
Yeah.
Like, just do a movie about Paul Rudd doing this, make him more of a likable character, and then like you're still rooting for him.
And then Duck is his ex-lover, because apparently they were in the army and they shared the same bunk where they, quote, touched penises.
He's not really his ex-lover, but, you know.
So this is where you work, huh?
Not much, but it's home.
Who's this?
There's a Duck. We used to sleep together.
Well, hang on, don't give him the wrong impression. We were in Kabul together. Did a tour of duty. Shared a bunk where we touched penises. Duck. How are you, my friend? Nice to finally meet you.
We're going to talk about that, because that was extremely confusing. Anyway, condensing it all, Paul Rudd's character had seen Leo's current girlfriend way earlier and then had a kid, and that's the kid in the film. And in order to... Essentially, the girl, Narnia, or whatever her name is, Narnia wants to take this girl away from him, and he's like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to have that happen. This is my blood. You can't do that. He kills her, and then Leo kills him, and then Duck kills, or tries to kill Leo. And then Leo lives happily ever after with the girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It is pretty fucking long-winded now that I'm explaining it out. Like,
It's
I wouldn't want
out of
to,
control.
I wouldn't want to have to summarize that film ever again.
And you skipped so many of the insane things.
Because I'm trying very hard.
No. This is what I wanted you to do. Please, God, no, do not describe everything in the film.
I'm trying to get through it. I'm like, holy shit, this is going on way too long.
Yeah. You're like halfway through it, and you're like, motherfucker. I still got more to say.
That's the gist of the story.
I would say this movie almost becomes an epic because of how ridiculous it gets.
Oh, yeah. I feel like if it was an epic, it may have been a better movie.
Yeah.
Like a 3-hour, 30-minute movie.
Well, here's the issue. Like I said, one movie is a classic, I'm going to find my girlfriend investigation mystery where a guy goes around and he's looking for clues. He's trying to solve the mystery while like fighting bad guys and...
You know what? Okay.
Fighting crime.
You can't... Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Does this film... You're separating. One of it is just run-of-the-mill mystery. The other one is fucking Paul Rudd trying to get out of the country, right?
Yeah. I don't know what that other movie is.
His banter.
Paul Rudd.
No. Ready?
Stuff.
Listen to this. Is this film not just a different version of Pulp Fiction? Where you have Bruce Willis doing his own thing, and then Sam Jackson and fucking John Travolta doing their own thing. Doesn't it feel the same?
Yeah.
And they're kind of intertwined?
But in that, I feel like the narratives intertwine a lot better, and I'm
not
thoroughly
saying,
entertained by
I'm not saying that Pulp Fiction... I'm not saying it's the same movie. I'm just saying I feel like Pulp Fiction was a pretty big model for this movie.
Maybe.
Like, it doesn't necessarily intertwine as well as Pulp Fiction did in terms of narratively, but I got the same vibes from it, where it's like, we're going to watch this guy We're going to follow him, figure out this mystery, and just track people down. And then what makes it opposite is the guys who are, would-be Sam Jackson and John Travolta are fucking with this other guy. Instead of trying to clean up after him or find him.
Mm-hmm. I got Message from the King vibes.
Yeah,
with the whole Skarsgård story. Mm-hmm. Except for, I think Message from the King did it better.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I was, yeah. I mean, I'll give to its credit. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I did like some of the fight scenes at the end when Skarsgård is fighting with the that bedpost that he made. That was cool.
Okay, yeah. I do want to talk about some of the fight scenes because I'm very happy with one, and I'm very upset by another one.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Okay, so here we go. We got the Amish guy, right? We have that whole flashback of him as a little boy. It looks like a family.
Little boy.
I'm a little boy. Oh, look at me having fun in the water. Death. He's like a manatee, right? Just gets fucking run over by this boat. But unlike, if he was a manatee, he could, take a few on the chin and be okay. But this kid gets cut up real bad, and he's bleeding out. And the boat family, that's their, God-given name.
If it were a manatee, he could take 2 in the chin and he'd be okay, is what you just said.
Yeah, you could take a few lumps, a few boat lumps. Well, because the adage is like manatees get run over by boats all the time and they don't die. I mean, it's terrible, but they can.
That's what I was talking about. I mean, it's terrible, but I mean, come on, they're champions. So you want to be a champion?
I'm just saying they're tough motherfuckers.
You're right. You're right.
They're stone cold. Can you imagine if Skarsgård was played by a manatee? How much better this film would be,
dude. Just floating,
I love you so much,
an
manatee.
air like a manatee floating in the air, and he's holding hands like Flipper, like Narnia.
He could still
is
be mute. He wouldn't have to talk.
Yeah, and Narnia is like holding his flipper and like escorting him through Berlin, and she's like, "What? I like him."
Dan, also, if you do not help me make Chronicles of Narnia jokes throughout this review, I'm going to be very upset. Because that's her name now. Her name is Narnia now.
Narnia.
Okay?
I don't even know what her fucking name is. I just know it's like Narnia.
Nadia or something similar to
Narnia.
The whole Amish thing.
Okay.
This Amish stuff, right? This, on paper, seems like a good premise. You're like, okay, this could be enough to carry whatever the framework of this film is, because we have a fresh set of eyes through this Amish guy who doesn't understand technology. But the whole idea of like, okay, his parents don't want to have him get this operation of like this robotic device put in his throat to let him be able to talk again. They're like, oh no, God will heal him, which doesn't happen. Spoiler alert. Oh. So he grows up, like we said, and he is still super Amish. But he also lives in the city. So that whole like fish out of water, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand technology, kind of gets thrown away when he's been living in the city, presumably his whole life after that. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, you want it to be that weird perspective. Like, I watched this show recently called, I think it's called The 10th Kingdom. And it's like a really old show. My girlfriend's it's one of her favorite shows. She's like, yeah, we got to watch this together. And it's actually pretty good. But the whole premise is like this girl from the real world gets transported to a fantasy world, right? And why that's fun is because you're learning everything through her, and she doesn't. It's like fish out of water kind of a thing.
And he teaches the nice rollerblade.
Yeah. And then like later on, these goblin guys come from the fantasy world to the real world, and it's funny because they don't understand how elevators work and like weird shit like that. So that whole fun of that kind of stuff is not really there with this Amish guy. He doesn't really struggle with a lot of things. A lot of the struggling comes from he can't talk. And I think we kind of talked about this earlier, is like him being mute. Does that even need to be in the film? Like, is there a point to him being mute when he's already supposed to be this fish out of water Amish guy? And then their solution to that at the end is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on film. And that is hyperbole. I will say that up front for sure. But it's pretty close. It's pretty fucking insane what they do with this plot thread.
I think you're right, because
it's out of control.
It made... Hey, guys.
It ruined the film.
Hey guys. We'll get to it.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn, baby girl. Ooh. So we got his girly friend, Medea, and, she's all blue-haired and looking great. And then he's like, I'm a bartender, and you work at the same bar as me, and we're in love. But she has a dark secret. Oh, what is the dark secret? Oh, no.
I don't know, because the film never fucking tells you.
What could it be? Know. Oh, no. So she's got this dark secret that she doesn't want to tell him. And they have a scene together where she's like, I have to tell you my dark secret. And he's like, are you breaking up with me? And she's like, no. He's like, then I don't want to hear anything else. And I'm like, this is so stupid, because I know whatever this secret is going to get your girlfriend killed. And you're going to hate yourself later. Like, just find out what the secret is. And then maybe you can help her. But of course that doesn't happen. So because of his idiocy, his girlfriend dies. We don't really know. She kind of gets kidnapped. She goes missing. So the rest of the film is him trying to solve the mystery. Ooh. And we have him at the bar, and there's these two like businessmen dudes who are like sexually harassing her and being fucking assholes. So he roughs one of them up in the bathroom. And then he gets yelled at by the club owner. And the club owner's like, I thought the club owner told him he was fired the first time. He's like, don't ever show up at the club again.
I was confused about that too. He's like, but it's like, I'm going to give you one warning.
It is not clear.
That was like, okay, my biggest, and like, I didn't really help because I was in the middle of doing laundry while this was happening. But I was watching it.
Very professional, by the way.
Yeah. But while I was watching it, and even though there's fucking laundry going on, I can still hear over it. But like the sound mixing in this film is what really took me out of it, because like the dialogue was so low compared to the music. So whenever the washer was running, all I could hear was the fucking music. I'm like, what the fuck are they saying? I don't get this. And I had to rewind a bunch of them. So
you know how I was praising a lot of the actors and everything else for this movie?
Yeah.
I would say the guy who plays Luba, the weird cross-dressing, you think is gay, but is maybe not gay or bi or something character. I didn't think he did a very good job.
No.
It was hard to understand what his motivations were or what he was even saying most of the time.
I agree.
It's kind of a mushy mouth character. And he keeps showing up everywhere. It's like every new scene, he's like, here's Luba again. Just being a weirdo. Man, that whole plot thread was fucking weird.
Like, Jared.
Oh, hey. Oh, I mean, hey, Luba. What's happening?
Nothing and stupid. And the only reason Dan keeps you around is because he can't do this show by himself. You are worthless, and he is the only funny person.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Luby. Luby Lube Lubes.
That's my impression of Luba.
And then Luba sucked.
All he does is just like sniff Narnia's panties.
Yeah.
And then just yell, like, get in Leo's face.
Here's
like,
what he does.
I'm not afraid of you.
He sits on cars.
Yes.
He sniffs them panties, right?
Yes.
He berates Amish people.
Berates Amish people for being Amish and
attempts
cool.
to suck dick. That's his character.
Oh, yeah. He does do that, doesn't he?
Yes.
And then berates him for not letting him suck his dick.
Yeah. I think he does this like twice in the film. He's like, are you here to get information or can I suck your dick? He's like, oh, well, I hate you. But if you want me to suck your dick, I will.
Yes.
It's like, okay,
well, I mean...
thanks, Luba. Thanks. So that guy also works at the bar, and he knows Princess Narnia's darkest secret. And I'll just spoil it now. It's that she has a kid, I guess, with Paul Rudd.
Oh, well, I mean, I kind of already spoiled that at the beginning, but it doesn't. It's fun. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
it's pretty dumb. I figured out that the blonde, not the blonde, the blue-haired lady was the ex-wife when Paul Rudd was talking to that officer, and he's like, "Your ex-wife is trying to get you arrested, whatever." Because Paul Rudd's on the run for some reason. I guess he was special forces in the military as like a surgeon or something, and he defected, and now he's trying to leave Germany. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Because like if he's on the run, why would he want to come back to America where he could potentially get even more arrested? You know what I mean? Like he's safer in Berlin, you would think. Mm-hmm. And why are American military guys, I guess if he went AWOL, they'd try to hunt him down.
Can I talk about my favorite part of the film?
Sure.
I don't know if you caught this.
Introducing Dan's favorite part of the film.
Because it's not part of the film at all. It's a one-off gag, and it's the most hilarious fucking thing in the world.
Okay. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So Leo goes to this coffee shop, and like he's palling up with the fucking...
The Amish guy, right?
Amish guy, yeah. Well, okay. the guy who owns the coffee shop is from the old country, so they're like, "Oh, you're mute? Mm-hmm. I see that, and you must be Amish because you're facing away from the TV."
Yep.
On the TV, did you get that at all?
No, what was on the TV?
Okay, so Duncan Jones directed Moon.
Okay.
Moon is about a bunch of space clones that become cognizant and realize they're clones, and they start coming to life. What was on the TV was a court case about how they want to have citizenship. All 156 clones. So Sam Rockwell is all in the witnesses of... What?
Extended universe.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Holy shit.
And then throughout as he goes through Berlin, there's like little graffiti that says "Free the 156," and that's what it's referring to, is that court case, which is Sam Rockwell. And
so
it's
like an army
amazing.
of Sam Rockwell clones, like Star Wars.
They're on trial.
They're gonna fight Darkseid.
Yeah, they're on trial trying to fucking be citizens. Oh man, it was so awesome. And I'm like,
oh man,
because Michelle's like, isn't that what's his name? Like, yeah, what the fuck? And then I went and I paused him, like, wait a minute, he's everyone in that witness stand.
Missed that. I totally
go back and look at that scene, and it's 100 Sam Rockwells sitting behind the Sam Rockwell that's on trial. It's amazing.
That is hilarious.
And then if you listen to their conversation, it's fucking hilarious. It's so funny. He's like, I forgot what his name is in the movie, but he's like, I'm Sam something. And he's like, no, I am. And it's like, this is like kind of a little Spartacus moment. It was really fucking funny. Yeah, go back and just look at that really quick, just to get it. But yeah,
all right, guys,
really
I'm gonna stop the podcast and look at that really quick. Here I go.
We're trying to keep this as relaxed as possible, Mr. Bell. You can be seated, you can stand. It really doesn't matter.
I'll sit. I'll stand. I'll sit.
Do something, man.
My name is Sam Bell.
So's mine. So's mine, pal. Hey, come on.
Order.
Come on. It's my name too.
Well, you were right. Anyways.
Seriously,
pretty good stuff.
That was my favorite part of the movie.
No, I will check it out, though. That's I can't believe I missed that. So we got the club owners harassing the Amish guy, and then he shows up later again, back to work, and I'm like, I guess he still has his job. I don't know. And they do a good job of like establishing that blue hair girl and Amish main character are in love, blah, blah, blah. And she gives him a phone, and he's like, here, I want you to have this phone. I know you're super Amish, but here's a really shitty BlackBerry. It's like the shittiest phone I could get you. Because now, in future technology, you just wear this thing around your neck that, like, beams, I don't know, phone calls into your brain. And you just take phone calls. That was kind of weird, too, because it would, like, interrupt scenes where Paul Rudd would get a phone call, and you're like, who the fuck is he talking to?
I kind of like that.
It's like no indicator.
Especially the one where, like, he just, like, he's threatening the hell out of Justin Theroux.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, we're going to bring it in, we're going to hug, and nothing matters anymore. And he just sucks in a phone call, and he's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah,
right
I was like, what are we doing in this scene right now? It was weird. So, they established that, whatever. And then his girlfriend, they have a night of passionate lovemaking.
And by lovemaking, we mean that he takes her to his workshop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and shows her a bed that he made for her.
Yes.
kind of weird. Is very ornate. He's a very
a
good
woodworker.
craftsman.
He likes to work with wood.
Yeah, he does. And it's pretty cool. It's a cool little workshop. And he makes this giant headboard kind of a thing. It's like this big wooden pole, I guess, very ornate. And later on, he uses that as a weapon, which is fucking cool. That was a cool idea.
Yes, it was.
And he's like, I made all this shit for you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't deserve you, and my dark secret, and I have a dark past, and blah, blah, blah. Which is, I thought it was going to be something like she was a prostitute, or maybe she was doing something, but it was alluding to that, but it was just that she had a kid. Which is like, just tell him you have a kid. What the fuck? Why would he be upset by that? I didn't understand this dark secret of just like, I had a kid with someone else. You're like, okay. I don't like, what is the Amish guy going to care? I don't know. So then he begins his quest to find his girly friend, right?
Yes.
And this...
So the first place he goes...
Can you even like...
It is the first place
remember
he goes. I don't
the
even
thread?
fucking remember. I just... you're right. So that's another thing. It's like, it's very not memorable. There's pockets of memorable scenes, but in terms of going along for the ride, that's not necessarily memorable. So,
like, he's questioning the two businessmen who he gets into a fight again, right?
yeah.
And
They're like, they run a chop shop or something.
yeah, he ends up at that chop shop, and then he questions them, and that doesn't lead anywhere. They're just kind of like, if you don't leave, we're going to kill you. And then he remembers, like, that his girlfriend had wrote down on his pad an address, and then he uses the charcoal. The infamous, like, it's in every one of these fucking movies where it's like, oh, I can use the charcoal and see the hidden message, because it, like, imprinted what she wrote into the next page.
Yeah. Were you like waiting for that?
Yes,
patiently?
I was waiting for that for so long.
From the very first time that she did it.
It was so obvious.
Like, that should have
was
been the
gonna happen.
first fucking thing he did.
Yeah.
And then he wrote before he even does that, he writes on the same exact paper. I'm like, you just fucking ruined it, dumbass.
Yeah, and I was like, man, come on. And of course he figures out like, oh, I'm gonna go to this address. So he leaves those businessmen, and then I think that's it. I don't think we see the businessmen again.
No.
So they go into like, we have this chop shop and we do all these things here, and then it's just like, whatever.
The club that Leo and Narnia worked at were it was run by a guy named Maxim.
Yeah,
is his name.
Okay.
And Maxim has these like kind of Russian dudes that are like, his underlings.
Yeah.
That are his roughhouse, essentially. And then Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux, they are his doctors.
Yeah, on-call surgeons for if people get
on-call
shot
surgeons
or whatever.
So
they also
we're introduced
torture
to these. Yeah, we're introduced to this other person who, like, he was shot in the leg, I guess.
Yes.
So while all that's happening, we are introduced to them doing surgery on this guy.
Yeah. And they're very nonchalant about it. They're like, oh, gosh, this guy, blah, blah, blah. And they're like complaining about doing work, but, I mean, they're getting paid a lot of money. I didn't get why they were so upset about doing such an easy job for them. I don't know. And the whole time, Paul Rudd is just, his character is, I'm going to be a dick to everyone.
And then they say that. It's like, man, you've been a dick lately.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just
constantly.
on edge because I'm a fucking dick. And if they would have toned it down a little bit and made him like a bit more like if you could care about him a little bit more and he wasn't so evil, because they have this little girl where they kind of try to make him more sympathetic, but the way he treats this girl, I mean, he treats her really like well, but like takes her to like the worst places.
Well, he's a protector.
Yeah.
He wants to be a good father, but he's a terrible father.
Yeah. And there's sympathy in that. But like I said, like they could have made that its own whole movie of him just like trying to shield his little girl from like all this terrible shit that he's doing. And like, I don't know, try to get out of Berlin. But then we have this whole other fucking plot of the Amish guy trying to look for his girlfriend or whatever, and then they end up kind of entangling. But it's like at the very end of the film when they finally meet each other.
Yeah. So I get why you don't like it that much. I like the film, but I wouldn't watch it again for sure. I probably wouldn't recommend it either.
And all of Paul Rudd's babysitters are prostitutes, by the way. Why he can't hire a real babysitter, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Prostitutes that Justin Theroux likes to fuck because they look young.
Yeah, and they hit on this a lot with Duck and like him liking young girls. He says creepy things to Paul Rudd's daughter, which is fucking scary. And they hammer this home so much. If you didn't understand that Duck's character was a pedo, you might be stupid. Like, why did they have to stress this? There's so many fucking scenes of him being a creeper. So many scenes of him sitting down with the prostitutes saying creepy shit. Or saying creepy shit to Paul Rudd's daughter. Or about the young child. It's just, fuck, I get it, dude. I get it. And then they have the scenes of him, like, at the his doctor's office with like little girls, because of course he works with little girls at his doctor's office when he gives them prosthetics, and he's like filming this girl walking, but her what are they called, the doctor's robe? I know it's not called a doctor's robe, but like the little gown they put you in, and he's like filming her butt, and I'm like, movie, you're making me watch this, and I don't want to fucking watch it. This is pissing me off. And I was asking because my girlfriend checked out. I was watching this with her. This movie's like 8 hours long, by the way.
It's 2 hours and 6 minutes.
And I asked her, I'm like, that's a lot. And I asked her, when did you check out of the film? Because she just started like playing around on her phone. And I don't blame her. And she's like, I think it was the moment where we were forced to watch the little girl walking on the treadmill. And I'm like, yeah, that's about the moment where I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done watching this movie. I don't want to give this movie any more thought than I really need to. But like, how did you feel about that? Like, why was it necessary for this film?
No.
What was the point?
Necessary. I feel like it could have been necessary, but it just wasn't. Like, maybe this film was just ambitious. Like, it was just too much he wanted to tell. You know.
He goes to the Amish guy. He's on the case. He's got the address from his notepad that he used his magic charcoal. Ooh, what an original, cool idea. Never seen that
and it
before.
Leads him to the most ridiculous place in the world.
The dude from Lost. The guy who's the
Lost,
geisha.
I think he's a hobbit too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of the hobbits, yeah. It was fun to see him in this movie. But he
is...
Was this played for comedy? Was this played for laughs?
Yes.
Did
Do
you
you
laugh?
think it was funny? No.
It's creepy?
Yeah. He's dressed up as like a geisha.
Uh-huh. Amish guy walks right in, right?
Yeah, Amish guy walks right in. And he's like, hey, I'm trying to find Narnia. Where is it?
It's right here in this wardrobe, you fucking idiot. Oh.
Anyway, he can't find Narnia. He goes in and he's like, oh, shit, you're weird. Like, that was the look on his face.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess we're doing this. And as he goes in, he sees this strange, I don't know what to call it, sculpture? I mean, it's two robots that are like in this fucking
position.
And one of them has a gigantic cod piece. And then the same one with the cod piece has like 7 suction cups on its chest for some reason. And then the guy from Lost is like, you can't just barge in here. Like, you know, understandably. And he does. And we're just kind of, it's like the human centipede where it's like, you kind of have to fucking deal with that for 5 minutes. And then, no, I will say I did laugh because it was, okay, it's so fucking ridiculous. And then he's looking for her, he sees this wall of pictures, he finds out that this guy's a super big pervert. And like, he takes pictures of all the people that he sleeps with.
Hired prostitutes.
And, like, it's like, oh, dude, some of these prostitutes are like 400
Yeah,
pounds.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, Leo's not having any of his bullshit, and he starts to rough this guy up, and accidentally turns on
he throws him on the bed.
the fuck machine. And
Sex robot.
he
Sex
proceeds to
robot.
beat the shit out of this guy. He beats
Yeah,
the
he
shit out of this
does.
guy while the other, like, the statues are fucking each other right next to each other. And it was, that I laughed at a lot because it was just so fucking ridiculous. I'm like, oh, he was going to use
What made
this
me smirk
in
is
this scene
that
somehow.
The geisha was kind of like into it. And then when the
Yeah,
Amish guy
yeah.
leaves, he's like, you can come back if you want. So the Amish guy thinks he's there to collect money from
Yeah.
him. And he thinks he is represented by another character. We'll call him Spiro
Nicky.
Agnew because I don't remember what his name is.
His name is Nicky.
Okay.
Spiro Agnew. Is that
I
his
don't
actor
know.
name?
I just
Spiro Agnew.
said a thing. So Nicky, little Nicky, who is the son of the devil, we all know this.
Yes, of course. That movie.
He has escaped the 7 layers of hell to be in this film, and he is apparently running a side business. He's supposed to be working with the club owner, but he's running a side business where the girls at the club are now his prostitutes, and he has been stealing money from the club owner in this way. Club owner doesn't like that very much because
Who would?
he ain't supposed to do that. So Amish guy finds out this information because geisha guy gives him money and tells him like, oh, here's the money I owed to Nicky, little Nicky or whatever. So he goes to confront Nicky at a cool sushi bar kind of a place. And here's where I really like the aesthetic because they're there and they have this weird like beam of gas lighting thing where they hold the sushi up to it. And I guess it sears it. I don't know what it does, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I liked it. And like there's like the weird Amazonian glitter princess lady.
Who is babysitting the little girl?
Prostitute lady is babysitting. Yeah. And the little girl is there. And there's this little scene where she's drawing a bear and as a bonding moment, the Amish guy. Okay.
She's drawing a bear. He sees her drawing a bear.
Yes.
Smiles. Starts to drop.
5 seconds later.
Within 30 seconds,
Yeah.
he has drawn 2 detailed
Perfectly.
bears. Perfectly. And gives them to the
He
little
does that a
girl.
lot too. Like he
does this
He
so
gives
many times.
a perfect portrait of Paul Rudd with a big dick on his forehead.
With a big... Because he's a
Yeah.
dickhead.
and hands it to him.
That was funny. I like that
And
a
I'm
lot.
like, that was pretty great. But yeah, he completed that drawing lightning fast.
Very quickly. Yes.
And
I mean, whenever you're good,
yeah.
you're good. But
And Nikki's like,
who am I to
what
judge?
is this fucking art class? Which was kind of funny. And he's telling him to leave because he's like being a fucking weirdo creep. And then Nikki confronts the Amish guy. They're talking back and forth. Well, not talking. Exchanging a one-sided conversation with a notepad, I guess. And he's like, I know about your side business. Tell me where my girlfriend is or you're going to have a bad time. And he's like, well, I'm going to sick
And Nikki's
these gang
like-
members on you, and they're going to fuck
Yeah.
your day up. And these gang members look cool as shit. There's like 3 dudes sitting in a booth. They have white eyes, and they look like they have bandanas on their faces, black bandanas, but it's
Yeah.
actually paint. It's just paint on their faces. So it looks like they have like half a face. It's the coolest fucking design. I loved it. And
all they are good for in this film
yep,
is just staring
that's it.
at you.
We never see them again. And I'm like, no, make them the villains. Like, they should come back.
And then Nikki's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Leo's like, here's the thing that Daryl
Yeah, he throws
owes
the
you,
money
or
everywhere.
whatever the
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
his name is. And he throws the money. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, I guess he was
Uh-huh.
right. Oh. But now Maxim has caught
Yeah.
wind of this and is
And they
very
want to do a
upset
photo
with
shoot with
Nikki.
it. Maxim
Yes.
Magazine. So now we're going to cut to old Ducky and Cactar. And they are now torturing Nikki because Nikki's been captured because the Maxim Magazine company knows about his shady backdoor deals. And they're like, nah, bruh, you need to give us that money. You can't be
But
getting
then
side money.
This is where we learn that the Wild Goose Chase is exactly that. A Wild Goose Chase.
Uh-huh.
Because Justin Theroux, or Duck, he's like, hey, man, if this is just about, Narnia,
Mhm.
then this whole thing is stupid. We know what's going on
Yeah.
here. And then Paul's like, or Cactus is like, well, yeah, but we got to make it look good for the guy who's sitting over there in the corner, which we are going to talk about soon, by the way, because he's a gigantic Russian dude. So at this point in the film, what I'm trying to say is we know that Cactus has something to do with Narnia's disappearance.
Yeah. And the reason that Maxim wants to catch this Amish guy is because he stole his car. He beat up a bunch of people. He's causing havoc with the Spiro Agnew character, Nicky, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Spiro.
I don't know why I love saying that name so much, but I do. I think I got it from Futurama or something. I don't know. Somebody tell us who that is, please.
Spiro Agnew.
And they want to catch his ass. So like the escalation of the Amish guy, why did he have to steal that car? It's so out of control. Like, he's breaking so many laws, and there is not a single police officer in this entire fucking movie.
Well, he stole the car so he could follow the taxi cab, the air taxi.
Why couldn't he just take a fucking taxi?
Because that's against his religion.
How?
Because it's technology.
But he's driving a car.
He needs the old-timey technology. He doesn't feel comfortable with the new floaty technology.
No, it would have been better because he would have someone driving him because he doesn't know how to drive. And he could have paid them money.
He did a really good job anyway.
Oh, I don't know. It made no sense. So we got Duck Cactus. They're torturing, and they're having fun and being weirdos. I'm trying to... Oh, so Amish guy... This is where the movie, I'm starting to get a little lost, because he visits Luda or whatever the fuck. Attempted blowjob happens. He visits him again because he thinks...
Narnia.
Yeah, he thinks Narnia is going to be
like
at this other...
Jessica Rabbit woman or something.
Yeah, he's dressed as Jessica Rabbit, and he thinks it's going to be his girlfriend, but it turns out to be fucking Luda again. And he's like, oh, you want to have sex?
He comes back...
Like, no.
A lot.
Yeah.
More than he's welcome, I think.
For how pointless his fucking character is. And then he's all like, well, okay, I'll help you out. But you got to use this device. He's like, do you know what this is? And he's like, oh, I don't understand. And he gets fucking tased. And then he just wakes up in the same apartment. I thought like maybe he got kidnapped.
Is this before or after that he goes to Narnia's mother's house?
I think this is before.
I don't remember.
I don't know. But like he wakes up in this apartment that he just got left in. I think it's Luda's apartment. I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But there's this weird vending machine fridge on the side room that has phone numbers on it.
Oh, yeah. So this is where he finds...
So he just starts calling different numbers.
Yeah.
And then he calls this thing that just says Mama. And I thought like, oh, this must be like a code word for like some other character called Mama. But no, it's just someone's mom.
It was Narnia's mom.
Yeah, it was Narnia's mom, which is weird. So he keeps calling her, and she's speaking in Spanish or something, and or like a language he doesn't understand, and I don't understand. But he's like, I'll just keep calling because I can't answer. So then we have this weird scene where he goes to a ordering a food vending machine where you type in your order and they deliver food to you. So he's trying to use the phone number of the mother to locate where she is. Or no, he
was trying to use
his girlfriend's
Narnia's
cell phone number.
Cell phone.
Yeah. And we have this awkward, stupid scene of like a guy is like, no, you have to say what your order is. You have to say the numbers. I'm like, why would there not be a technology where you could just type the numbers too? That's so fucking dumb.
Well, Michelle had a comment about the entire movie where it's like, this is the fucking future. Why is there not some kind of thing that you don't need to have surgical, an implant for to speak?
Yeah.
Why can't you just like
put a
wear
device
something
to your neck? Yeah. A lot of that's fucking dumb. And then we have this whole pointless scene of him helping him, which was like, there's no reason for it to be there. I didn't get it at all. It's like, why do we have this scene? So then he eventually starts looking through these yellow pages, I guess. And there's a long extended scene of him. He goes to this cool looking library. Like some of the settings or the
the library looks badass.
The locations, the shot locations were really good.
So to clarify what Jared's talking about, he gets Mama's number, so Narnia's mother's number. He gets that. He writes it all down, and now he's going to go through 10 phone books,
Jesus Christ.
phone number by phone number, to find this woman's address.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we watched the entire thing.
We have... Oh, what was the deal with him? He always drinks like a big glass of water and holds his breath.
I love that.
That was kind of cool.
I love it.
But it was weird.
But he's a diver. That's the other thing. He, like, swims. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool cinematography with him swimming underwater.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Like I said, this movie is well shot, and the locations and the costume design, everything is fucking on point. It's just the rest of it, the stuff you're supposed to care about, is not that good. What is going on? So we have the thrilling phone book scenes, which I didn't even know what he was doing at first until he got to Mama's house, I guess.
And even then, like, you kind of get nowhere with that because she speaks in a different language and there's no subtitles. So you just kind of get through, like, her hand gestures.
Pointless.
What has actually happened. And by the end of it, I still didn't fucking know what happened.
What information does he gain? I don't even know where he goes next after that.
I don't remember either.
Does he get anything from that? All right, let's look at my notes.
He gets the fact that Narnia had a kid.
Uh-huh.
And it was,
so he learns that. Okay.
And it was I thought it was Narnia had a kid, and it was delivered by Bill Cactus.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Cactus's kid, is what it is.
So now he's on the hunt for Cactus, I guess.
So, if we haven't said this already, I feel like it's important to bring up, for one, and if we have already said it, I feel like it's important enough to bring up a second time.
Mm-hmm.
Cactus has
dick.
He's a dick, but he has two other really interesting qualities about him.
Uh-huh.
He drives around in like a Captain America Hummer.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And he always has a gigantic Bowie knife.
Huge!
On his person at all times.
Uh-huh.
All times. And he takes it out every time he is able to do so.
Huge.
A Bowie knife.
I get it.
A David Bowie knife.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
We get it, Duncan. Your dad was famous.
Also, he hates child molesters, but is best friends with one. How does he not know that his friend is a child molester?
Selective understanding? I don't fucking know.
It's so fucking obvious. And then when he finally figures it out, there's that scene where he walks into the doctor's office and he finds the camera and the footage of the girl, and he confronts his friend, and his friend lies to him. He's like, I didn't even film anybody. I mean, it was a good scene where he's like slapping him around and shit, but I'm like, it's kind of dumb that you don't know this already, Paul Rudd. Like, what are you doing? And then you think he's gonna just kill him right there, and then he's like, we're best friends. And they're like, oh, let's go get drunk together. Because, like, his papers finally got finished. Because he's been doing all this work for the Maxim bar owner guy. Because he's going to get him illegal papers.
How are we going to a league of their own?
A league of their own papers. A league of extraordinary gentlemen with Sean Connery. And they're going to suck 1,000 dicks. And just... okay. So he's like, oh, I got my papers so I can come back to America where it's more dangerous for me, I guess.
Which, okay, that was another thing, too, where he gets all heated and upset about this guy being a child molester.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you ever do any fucking thing again, I'm going to break your arms.
Uh-huh.
But is he just going to forget? Like, he's going to leave for America so he can't keep that promise?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like... that kind of made the scene moot at that point.
It was silly, yes. I thought the relationship between Duck and Cactus was interesting.
Yes.
It was just hampered by Duck being a child molester.
It was also hampered by, like we keep saying, a completely different film.
Yeah, it's a
that seems to
totally
be
different
attached to
movie.
it.
Absolutely. And then they go to celebrate at an arcade and get drunk. And then Paul Rudd eats some peanuts, and the security guard comes up.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, you're going to pay for those. He's like, you're going to make me? And he like slaps him around and shit. And it was like an interesting scene, but again, it was like, why? Why is this in the movie? I don't get it. Then he punches his friend in the face who he just told that was just like, he's like, you're my best friend and I'm sorry I've been mean to you. He's like schizophrenic.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe him for sure.
And I don't know, it's kind of interesting, but again, doesn't serve us the plot very much.
So let's cut to, because we're
Let's get to the house where he
no.
No?
No, before we get to the house,
Okay.
Leo doesn't know he needs to go to the house yet.
Oh.
Leo just knows that he needs to go, because what is happening is
Oh, I know what you're talking
Duck
about. Go
has
ahead.
been, Duck has been, he's the one that's been fucking with Leo the entire time.
Yeah.
And like kind of giving him breadcrumbs to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he gets punched in the face the last time by Cactus, he's like, maybe I will sell you out.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the club because Duck knows Cactus has to go to the club to get the IDs.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, because this whole time Duck has been taunting the main character by sending him photos and cryptic clues. And I kind of figured out it was Duck. I just didn't understand why. And his explanation was, I was just fucking around with him.
Yeah.
Which is like, what a lazy way. I just thought it was so stupid.
Anyway, this is my favorite scene.
Okay.
Just the way it's filmed. So
is this when the Amish guy goes to the club?
Yeah, he goes to the club. He pulls up in Maxim's car, and then it's a long shot, like a wide shot, very wide.
Though.
It's awesome, and it's an action scene to where like the security guards from Maxim, like, oh, that's his car. We got to go fucking see what's going on. And he opens the car door. They pull him out, and he starts wailing on these motherfuckers with his bedpost. Yeah. But what's awesome about it is the camera doesn't fucking move.
Which is fantastic.
It's just, you're so far away and you're just watching him get the shit kicked out of him, but he's also beating their heads in with this bedpost. And then he starts walking towards the camera, and one of them is following him, and then he tries to get one last swing in while he's close to the camera, so there's a medium shot of him smacking this guy in the face with the bedpost. It was great.
Here's what they should have done. They should have had more scenes like that.
Yeah.
And less with Paul and Rudd being best friends and pedos together.
And here's why. Here's why. Ready? So that happens. That amazing fight scene happens, right?
Yep.
We can agree that it happened.
Oh, yeah. It was great. One of the best parts of the movie.
He goes in to the club.
I already know what you're going to say.
He sees the Russian boss, and he beats the shit out of him. And then the gigantic Russian guy in the pink shirt and the glasses.
Yeah, he was awesome. I love that guy.
There was one scene earlier in the film that like he beats the shit out of somebody and then adjusts his glasses with his finger, which is really funny.
Gangster.
Anyway,
I loved it. There was a scene earlier where they were doing surgery, and he was sitting there watching them, and he opens up a magazine, but it wasn't. It was a old Batman comic. And I was like, yes, that is what the guy would read. That's great.
Anyway, he is sitting across from Leo at this table in the lounge, and then he's like, oh, shit, well, you are going to confront me, I'm going to confront you. So he goes and he rips off the robot stripper's leg to confront him. And Jared, the fight of the lifetime ensues, doesn't it?
The fight of the century, because it's you have old versus the new technology, the old way of just using sticks like cavemen, and then
you have the new
yes,
gigantic fucking robot thing that it's two gigantic men. And they're gonna sword fight with them, and it's the best
epic
fucking scene. And then it just kind of cuts away, and we don't see any of that.
Nope.
Oh, it was so frustrating.
Everything they decided to put into the film, they made you watch it, and the one thing you want to see, they're like,
it's just gone.
Nope.
Can't do it. I'm sorry.
Just cut to the bodyguard guy on the ground. He got beat up.
Not even. We didn't. It cuts to inside Maxim's office, and he beats the shit out of Maxim, and then he takes the stuff and goes back to Cactus's house.
Yeah, he takes Cactus's IDs, his fake IDs, yeah. Wow, yeah, really shitty. Pretty lame. For such a cool scene that precluded it, I guess.
We're in Cactus's house. Leo knows that she's in here somewhere. He sees like a body bag, and it turns out that it's like Nikolai Peshnov or whatever you fucking called him before. Spiro.
Yep.
Anyway, he lets him go. And then he sees this fence in the basement. He's like, "Oh, it has to be back there."
A fence in the basement.
Well, I mean, it's like a locked gate thing.
Yeah. It's like
And
a
then
cage.
he can't get in there. And then Paul Rudd comes down and kills Nikki, and then gives Leo the keys. Like, here, you want to see it so bad? Go for it. And then Leo opens the door, and then he's like, "Is Narnia in the freezer?" And then he opens the freezer, and then there's no portal there. And then he goes behind the freezer.
Yes!
And
Wait, no, we have this long extended scene of him walking so fucking slow to that freezer.
yes.
And he finally opens it, and it's like, oh, nothing in it. And then that's supposed to indicate that his girlfriend's not dead, right? That's what that's supposed to say?
I guess so.
Right? Because we've had this flashback
only...
of her in a bag,
Yes.
being choked to death, and Paul Rudd yelling at her like, "You're not going to take my kid away, blah, blah, blah." Which, I made fun of this before, but she could easily just, like, try to get out of the fucking bag. Like, what are you doing?
Well, here's the
Like,
deal.
stab a small hole through it with your fingers.
Listen,
Like, what's going
Jared,
on?
I don't think you understand the full complexity of the situation.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Narnia can't get out of the bag because if it was out of the bag, it defeats the purpose of... Like, Narnia needs to be contained within something so that people can go inside of that to get to it. You know what I mean?
Did the Ice Queen put a curse on her?
No, because she is where the Ice Queen is residing. Like, you can't just have Narnia, otherwise you're in Narnia. You have to be... Narnia has to be in a bag before you can get into it. So Narnia's in the bag.
Then how are the kids going to get through the bag to get to the lion and have him be like a Jesus figure?
Why didn't Leo go through the bag? That's the question.
I mean, I think you did, if you know what I mean there, guy. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop.
But, okay, so you can see, like, okay, you have the flashback of her in the bag, right?
Yes.
You can see the bag right next to the freezer. So it's so painful to watch him slowly open the freezer and then close it because it's not there. And he's like, I wonder if I should just walk another,
What
I don't know, 2
fucking
steps.
idiot. Yeah.
And then there's just she's just right there.
Yeah, she's dead in the bag. And why would Paul Rudd leave a corpse in a bag and not put it in the freezer? Because it's going to fucking stink.
Well, we've already
Like,
established
that's
why he
gross.
leaves the corpse in the bag because we need a way to get to Narnia. But I feel like you can access Narnia through the freezer. Because the Ice Queen, don't they start in Narnia at the Ice Queen's palace?
Dan,
That would make the most sense.
Narnia is wherever you want it to be.
But it has to be inside
And
of
by that I
something.
mean you could just pick her up and put her in the freezer.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It has to be inside of something.
It's fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb. She could have escaped the bag. It's super easy. Okay, even if it was tough plastic, she makes no attempt to try to rip the plastic. She's in high heels. She could have stabbed it with her high heels. Ugh. It's, ugh.
And out of all the ways
So
to kill
dumb.
somebody, why a bag?
I just...
He has a gigantic Bowie knife. You know what that's good
Yeah.
for? Threatening people and stabbing
Killing
himself
them.
in the
Yeah,
neck.
yeah. It just so much of that seems so fucking unnecessary. It was really dumb. So he gets real sad. He takes her, he puts her on the bench or whatever, and then him and Paul Rudd have a little fight where he basically stabs that big ass Bowie knife into Paul Rudd's throat, and he's bleeding out in the ground.
Which at first I didn't realize that's what was happening. Like
What did you
I thought
think
it
was
was
happening?
Just, I thought it was just being pressed against his neck. I didn't realize it was going to be pressed against his neck into his neck. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't
through his
see
fucking
the
neck.
penetration.
Oh, yeah, that scene was rough for me. I don't like neck stuff. But then we have old pedo bear
Can we
shows
talk
up.
about neck stuff? No,
We
don't
cannot
have
talk
enough
about
ti-
it.
We don't have enough time to talk
We
about
do
neck
not
stuff.
have enough
But
time to talk
sometime-
about neck stuff.
Sometime I want to talk about neck stuff with you.
Okay. I don't like seeing characters' throats get slit. I just don't enjoy it.
Oh, that.
Viscerally, it's creepy to me. It's just like,
That's
oh,
not what I
no.
think neck stuff means.
I don't like it. So, creepy pedo duck shows up, and he doesn't see, but like the main character takes the corpse and brings it out into the woods and just kind of cradling it like a crazy person. And then old pedo face finds cactus in the basement. And he's like, "Oh man, you really fucked up." He's like, "Well, you should have been nicer to me." And for some reason, I kind of get it. He has a camera monitor in his basement so he can watch his daughter in her room while he does his work, quote unquote. But now he turns it and he's like, I'm going to go say hello to your daughter, which we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to get real gross with her. And he
Gonna do
makes
some neck stuff with her.
He makes Paul Rudd watch the monitor while he goes in and abducts his.
Which was a really cool scene. I liked it a lot.
It could have been executed a little better, and they
It could have, but like I like the
really
implications.
heighten the
Like I like him being like a total scumbag. It's like, I told you that I'm not going to do this, but I'm totally doing it.
Yeah,
and because you were a dick the entire time, you get to watch now.
Yeah, and it's like, it's an interesting scene. I just don't think it was executed very well.
No,
and
of
then
course
he
not.
kidnaps the girl, then he walks outside.
He was
to the Amish guy, right?
Walks outside the Amish guy. He's so upset with Cactus about being a dick the entire movie.
This dude.
So I get confused here.
Okay.
He kicks Leo in the face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then gives him a new voice box. So I
want to keep that sigh in because this is where the movie, if you're already checked out, you're like, fuck, man, can this movie be over? This is when it's like the film should have ended, and now a new film has begun, and it's only torture.
I thought Duck was doing him a favor because he's giving, like, the only reason Duck wants to implant this vocal box is so that he can say sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought at first that the only reason that he wanted to, like, that he kicked Leo in the face was to give him some kind of anesthetic. But it was all just to get him a voice box to say sorry.
And then he does this elaborate thing where he takes him to this bridge where a photo was taken, and he tells him how happy the girl and Duck were, and that he ruined everything. Sorry. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like 10 minutes of him saying, say something, say you're sorry. And they're driving the car, and the little girl's there. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And on. Why? Why? So that's the movie. I feel like we missed some things.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, I guess. All right. So Dan, here are your three choices. We can either watch Death Spa, Father's Day, or Shadows Run Black. Which one are you more interested in watching? Without looking anything up. I'd say Father's Day is a newer film. Newish. Death Spa is early 90s. Okay. All right. So Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. This one is shapely, gorgeous, and demonic. She's also insanely jealous. And one by one, the beautiful people of her husband's health club become victims possessed by her evil spirit. Oh! Yummy.
Amazon.
So this is 1990.
Okay. I suppose that's going to be all right.
Well, I hope this is something, guys. Please find us on Podbean. We're on Twitter. Oldboys_.
I forgot to mention this. I should have mentioned this at the top of the show. Sure. I applied for it, and this week we got it.
What did we get?
We are on fucking Spotify.
All right.
So look for us there. It's awesome.
That is good.
Yes.
We're almost on everything now, I think.
Yes. It took like a month for them to get back to me, but we are on Spotify.
Really?
Yeah.
Good, man. See, Dan's doing work. He's doing things. Well, I sit back and drink margaritas. Oh, yeah, baby. I just watched the money roll in. Oh, yeah, baby. Well, Dan, you have the final word.
Interior. Cactus Bill's basement. Evening. Leo creeps eerily towards the fridge. Opens. And Aslan jumps out and devours him whole. Yeah.
Oh, shit.